At last week's Democratic debate, Pete Buttigieg faced a pretty harsh questioning from Elizabeth Warren, actually, about some of his donation and fundraising strategies. And so in the immediate aftermath of that, what he really needed was to lay low, but unfortunately that's not the case, because a bundler of his, one of these people who's like sort of loosely affiliated with the campaign but raises money for the campaign, had emailed a potential donor, and bits of that email have now been released, and I want to read it for you. This donor is HK Park, and the email read in part, "If you want to get on the campaign's radar now before he is flooded with donations after winning Iowa and New Hampshire, you can use the link below for donations." So again, this is not like a mass email to tons of people and they're like, "Hey Joe, if you'd like to get on his radar." No, this is like, "Hey, if you'd like to raise and help bundle a ton of money for him, do it now so he'll pay special attention to you, because later he may not be, as much time, like you're gonna sit farther back in the wine cave."
Can we just say, like, stereotypically, right? Because he says a lot of things that are just absolutely ridiculous, and he's been saying things that are ridiculous and absurd, but probably the most realistic thing I've ever heard coming from like Camp Buttigieg is after we win Iowa and New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, look, he's still doing really well in Iowa.
Like, it's like so realistic that he's like, "Oh yeah, I got these two in the bag." Now, yes. My own state, my city.
That's true.
Whoa.
No, that's not in the strategy. But yes, and look, he is doing well in Iowa in part because they raised millions and millions of dollars and they're spending millions and millions of dollars. But he's doing well in Iowa. Yeah, there's a little bit of.
I think they call that identity politics.
No, there are elements. You know when Beto?
So stupid. It's a stupid phrase.
You remember when Beto said I was born for this?
Yes, that's what that reminds me of. That's why that's so funny to me.
Like,
he's
Iowa,
like, "I got Iowa in the bag."
Yeah, and maybe he does. We'll see. Now, a little bit more from this email. HK Park is listed on the Buttigieg website as one of its top fundraisers, those who've raised at least $25,000 for the campaign. Now, what's interesting is that the prospective donor, the person that HK Park reached out to give money to the campaign, is now talking about that experience. And that prospective donor, who wants to be left anonymous, says it's very telling and concerning that one of the campaign's major bundlers would talk like that. What would this suggest about the way he's going to interact with Silicon Valley if the implication is pay for play? If that's the way he's operating, it's in the public interest for people to know what's being said. He's running on an image that may not be his reality.
So he's running on an image that may not be his reality is something that can be proven in many different aspects, not just donor related. And also, like, yes, that is very spelled out, but we don't have to pretend like that isn't what it's been like. Like we need it to be that spelled out to acknowledge that that's been the system.
Yeah, and by the way, I think we should focus on this, but not because, you know who's the only bad person?
Right.
Pete Buttigieg. Everyone else has been great and he's bad. No, well, first of all, in terms of him being a mayor, he's bad in some unique ways. But in this way, he is bad in a way that the vast majority of every politician in American history for at least the past 50 years has been bad.
But you know what,
and we need it to stop.
There is like there's an arrogance that also like we see sometimes with like Trump. It's been a lot of Republican policies, at least since I've been alive, have been disproportionately harmful to Black and brown people.
Yes.
He just literally says it. And so then there's all of this like pretending, especially from like Republican never-Trumpers, like as if they haven't participated wholehearteally in the same system that just didn't spell it out. So exactly what you're saying, like this is the system. He's just writing it down because there is this arrogance that I find fascinating, that like you don't have to hide it.
Yeah, and look, they say that they were not behind this language and the way that the bundlers work, it's entirely possible. But the philosophy, the atmosphere of access, that is something that you contribute to. So our commentary after this is gonna have to be very constrained, but there's an interesting video that's been unearthed from 2010 when he was running statewide for treasurer of Indiana. And here is what he had to say about campaign finance then.
We need to get special interest money out of the treasurer's race. Right now, there are almost no rules constraining the ability of, say, Wall Street banks to pump large sums of money into state treasurer's campaign. And having looked at my own finances and seen what's happening in my opponent's race, I've noticed that thousands of dollars are flowing in from some of the biggest banks in the country in order to defeat me. It's not just that they're trying to defeat me that I'm bothered by this, but very early on in this campaign, I made a decision that I wasn't going to accept any money from a bank that could be doing business with the state treasurer's office. I think it creates a conflict of interest. It creates an appearance, at the very least, that can smell like pay to play. It's not good for the state. And I don't think it's good for the banks either. Who wants to be the one bank that didn't contribute if 4 or 5 banks are competing to get a favorable decision from the state treasurer's office? And so early on in this campaign, I announced that I wouldn't take that money, no corporate money from banks, no PAC money from banks, and somebody who works at a bank, we're going to hold ourselves to a limit that's lower than the official limit.
Okay, so there is a person who understands how this works and gets that, yeah, it at the very least looks bad and really is bad if they're giving a bunch of money because they want to have influence over you. And if you can understand on one level how they would want to influence Indiana's state treasurer, it's not a huge leap to understand why they'd want to influence the president of the United States. He gets it then. I would argue he still gets it on some level, but he wants to get elected and needs money.
Exactly, he gets that. This is Pete Buttigieg's version of voting present when it comes to progressive politics. Just lying, like it's all a lie.
I did not expect that reference, but yes, I think someone should just play that video for him and get it. You see the hypocrisy there.
Flip-flopping on things. We can point out things last month that are drastic.
Yeah.
At least this one, at least it took him 10 years to flip.
That's true. It's more gradual.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so the pressure he's facing right now about campaign finance is probably not gonna go away anytime soon. Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.